Alrighty, we got why modern characters are so unlikable from Pada. Okay, what is going on with the modern characters?
I've grown quite worried about the trajectory of what humans perceive as strength, not only in entertainment media, but even in influencers and perceived role models.
Oh, it's a good one. I'm just gonna throw this out there. Uh, with regards to influencers, they have a strong mental to stay within their character on camera. In that regard, they are pretty strong. You must always maintain and never break character.
This is a steady decline that has been gradually moving towards shaping the very definition of strength. For me, this is actually quite a fascinating topic because of how blind a lot of people are to what is actually happening, almost as though they know the counterfeit better than the genuine. What do I mean by this? There is an interesting phenomenon called perceptual expertise that I'll
Oh,
use as an illustration. Anyone who handles cash on a constant basis, especially in a profession, gain an incredible ability to easily identify counterfeits. Now, something I find
okay.
insane about this phenomenon is that it isn't actually taught. It is grown through exposure. Bank tellers and cashiers handle genuine banknotes all day. This constant, repeated exposure allows them to develop an intuitive sense of what feels right. The texture, color, weight, print clarity, and even embedded features of.
And so, what I would guess is that when he applies this logic to people and modern characters, someone that consumes like a lot of just internet bullshit, like on the daily basis, they probably become very accustomed to seeing people's like faces and body language and hearing someone like with their tone and inflections and reasoning and logic and all of that shit. When someone sees that like a lot, it's it's kind of easy. Well, not easy, but fuck it. I'll just. It does become easier to try to determine who is in character and who's trying to make a like a genuine good faith effort for an argument.
Real currency. Over time, they built this mental prototype or baseline of what authentic notes look like. So when a counterfeit does come along, it stands out. Not necessarily because the cashier knows exactly what's wrong, but because it doesn't match the baseline they've naturally internalized. Their brain subconsciously flags it as unfamiliar or off. Now, you could
Mm-hmm.
probably see where I'm going with this. I
Yep.
believe that a lot of modern writers and influencers are more exposed to a counterfeit strength than they are to
True.
actual genuine strength. So to them, genuine strength is foreign, and they probably even see it as weakness. Unfortunately, it
I mean, but like, what do you mean by genuine strength? I mean, because you could easily like make the like you could be mentally strong, emotionally strong, physically strong, financially strong. Um, it strength doesn't have to be like solely physical at all times. It can be like you can have a lot of like mental strength, a lot of emotional strength. Um, it just depends.
It also seems like this is slowly becoming the norm. Before I dive into what this modern depiction of strength is, let's look at what genuine strength has always looked like. Throughout history, we see that strength has often been defined as the capacity to endure, to act with integrity under pressure, and to choose what is right even when it costs you. It is a moral and emotional resilience, not
Let me hear that again.
under pressure, and
Wait, let me.
looked like. Throughout history, we see that strength has often been defined as the capacity to endure, to act
Capacity to endure,
with integrity under pressure,
integrity under pressure. So being honest when scrutinized. And I think that is one bullet point among many um, that I think is getting warped uh, with what we see online, someone can easily talk to you about something, and to them, they will be a 100% honest, but to another person, it could seem disingenuous. But from the perspective of the original person, they can believe themselves and say to themselves, "Oh, I'm being 100% honest. I'm being honest. I'm being honest, 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 honest." But to like some other people, what they are saying could be perceived as disingenuous. So these like key people that we see on the internet have, well, this is where the word delusion comes from. Um, People delude themselves into thinking that they are being honest with their own form of logic. It's everything is logical to them. Everything is just, you put the circle into circle hole, the square into square hole, and to them, they are doing everything logically. But from the perspective of everybody else, well, not everybody else, but you know how it works with like echo chambers and like target audiences, and like this audience agrees with me, that audience doesn't agree with me, blah blah blah. But to like the general population of people, some people could perceive that logic as being flawed or dishonest.
And to choose what is right, even when it costs you. It is a
And again, I mean, what is right? Right? What's right for you personally could be, um, like maybe something that could go right for you could go wrong for a lot of people around you. Just all right. So something that could benefit you personally could uh, be detrimental to many other people around you in certain instances.
moral and emotional resilience, not the absence of struggle, but the decision to face it. It is also force and power under control. Marcus Aurelius put it this way: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Strength isn't about control.
Oh, that fucking ukulele bullshit. Oh my god. Ukulele apology. I can't believe that was a thing, dude.
Over people or circumstances. It's about self-mastery, the ability to stay steady when everything else is shaking, the power to respond instead of react, to remain grounded when your pride wants to escalate, and in a world that tells you to be loud, aggressive, or performative, Marcus flips it. Real strength isn't about bending the world to your will. It's about mastering yourself in the middle of it. This is a fundamental understanding that everyone has had about strength for a very long time. There are so many clear examples of games, series, and movies over the last 20 to 30 years of genuine strength. But it feels like there is a shift happening. Some of our favorite characters in the past, whether real or fictional, those who have had a very deep understanding of what genuine strength looks like, wouldn't necessarily even exist nowadays. And if they
Yeah. I mean, in terms of movies, just like whenever a movie tries to depict something like from the modern day perspective, I mean, I honestly I can't even say anything because haven't really seen like a lot of movies recently. I'm just like they're not really interested in seeing anything. I'm just not, because I don't care about the modern character. Like maybe if something comes out, like Dune 1 and 2 or whatever, it's like, oh, maybe I'll go see it in the theaters or something like that. Or if like a movie was made, like in the case of Dune, the movie was like pulled from originally like a book, but the book was made like many years ago or whatever. I say many like it's a millennia. It's not a millennia. It's just the times were different back then. But like, I mean, all that just to say, like, the problems of a modern day character when they are being depicted on a movie screen. I mean, I don't buy it. I just don't. Meanwhile, from that like character's perspective in their own world, that could be like the hardest thing for them, like to date, that they've ever done. But me, like watching the movie, watching the character go through some a modern day whatever, I'm just like, Oh, what a bitch. I don't care about this movie. I mean, that's just me.
They did exist, they would either be gender swapped or race swapped or even be made to look pathetic where possible. And the characters that replaced them or
Yeah, so like all of that, I didn't see like any of those besides like the Star Wars one. And when Mark Hamill did like the blue milk from the animal thing, I was like, I was like, what the fuck is going on? But like I didn't see the Scooby Doo thing. I didn't see Ghostbusters, the ladies, and wasn't there like something else? Yeah, I didn't even bother seeing it. I'm just like, nah, I'm not the target audience. They're doing what they want to do. Let them.
take their throne are so poorly
Or this, I was just like what was this? Thor 3? When they had like all the kids go like woohoo for kids. I was with my boy Darren, and when this like part popped up, not necessarily with like who was it, Jane Foster or whatever, because I didn't read the comics. I was like, oh whatever, Jane Foster got a little bit of Thor power, whatever. I was like, okay, whatever. But then the kids like had to like all jump in with, and then I was like, me and him just like looked at each other in the movies, and I was like, I think I remember telling him, oh, I'm about to fucking walk out of the theater. And he kind of like agreed with me, but I was like, "Oh, the movie's almost over anyway. Just stick it out for the next like 15 minutes and just be like," and then we bullshitted about it like afterward, and we were both like agreed, like, what are they fucking doing? And oh god, this is so annoying.
written that it blows my mind how they even
Oh, this. I literally just hate watch this. I was like, why is it so bad? Let me see why it's so bad. And then I watched it, and then I was like, oh, this is why it's bad. I told one of my friends to watch this because he's like a super big Marvel fan. I think he got through well, no, because he like collects the physical DVDs of all the Marvel movies because he like wants it to be like a Pokemon card collection. He got like 2 or 3 episodes in. He's like, I had to shut this off. This is a travesty.
even exist. Unfortunately, a lot of modern writers simply don't understand genuine strength. Classical writers like J.R.R. Tolkien knew what genuine strength was. They knew that strength has a cost, that it takes something out of you. It doesn't leave you untouched, it leaves scars. It humbles you, it makes you even quieter. And that's the irony. The strongest people are usually the ones that don't even talk about how great or strong they are. Because
Well, yeah, because probably their personality has been warped from the situation they're in. So their personality, instead of like maybe in the beginning of like let's say a job that you don't necessarily like, in order to participate in society, you have to have a job, but maybe you don't like love the job. You're just like neutral about it. It's like, it's a job. Um, People's like personalities get warped, and what ends up happening is like they just deal and just they just deal with the situation they're in. Like some people got like bottom of the barrel. I would say most people have like a job they don't like, and if any one of them, and I could prove this to you because if I could offer that same person, like, you win the lottery, do you keep your job? Not almost 99% of people would be like, yeah, I'm out of that bitch. All right, so yeah, but yeah, like the reason people are so like or like real have like real strength. I mean, it's like what he said before, like the ability to just endure shit that you don't want to do.
they've lived it, they've bled for it, and they know it's not a show. This kind of strength isn't taught, It's shaped over time, in moments of choosing silence, restraint, and endurance. It's taught through exposure. It's always incredible and actually somewhat beautiful to see characters and people who suffer or struggle still choose to do good. That's the strength that moves people. That's the strength that transforms people. But this is disappearing. Or worse, it's being replaced by a counterfeit. What is...
Oh, like what? So people end up struggling, and then, and what? When placed in a position, or when presented with a decision to do something like, I don't know, for the betterment of themselves or the betterment of others, what? Like, are you saying like most people would probably choose the betterment of themselves first? I mean, shit, probably. I don't blame them though.
Is it being replaced by? Narcissism.
Oh,
What we're calling strength today is often just narcissism in disguise. It's not rooted in sacrifice or humility. It's about ego, attention, and the desperate need to be admired without being challenged. Modern characters, and let's be honest, many public figures too, aren't strong because they overcome anything. They're strong because the script says so, or because they say so. They don't earn our respect, they demand it. They don't grow, they're written to be right from the start. They're never wrong, never vulnerable, never in doubt. And if they are, it's used for 5 seconds of forced relatability before they're back to monologuing about how misunderstood they are.
yeah. I mean, this formula has been seen a couple times in movies, and it's called the hero's journey. You know, like in the beginning of the movie, we got like some no-name person. They ain't shit. And then maybe they meet like a mentor or something, and that mentor teaches them about some shit, and then they go through like the training montage, and maybe they're like okay at training, or maybe they suck ass at training, and then there's like a villain or a rival that they eventually come into contact with, and it's like, oh, okay, up until the peak climax of the movie, the main character's just getting shit on the whole time, and then climax, great, the main character overcomes the thing, and then conclusion. All right, that's usually what happens with like a hero journey type of formula.
This isn't strength, it's self-worship. You see this constantly. Characters who bulldoze through others emotionally, who never listen, who never compromise, and we're told this is empowerment. But being impossible to work with doesn't make you powerful. It just makes you insufferable. Strength has been reduced to this kind of moral untouchability. A person who can't be questioned, corrected, or critiqued because they are the representation of some...
Bro, how did you find this like Concord footage? The game was only out for like less than 2 weeks, I think, right? Oh my god.
broader ideal. But this is dangerous because it teaches audiences, especially young ones, that personal growth isn't necessary, that virtue is a given, that the world should revolve around you because you're the main character. This obsession with self has hollowed out the archetype.
So, I mean, I think what ends up happening is that, I mean, he kind of said it right there. Trying to force a reality or the world to revolve around you because you say so, but what do people end up ultimately trying to do their entire lives? Well, they usually try to do that. At least like give like a little bit of perspective. Like maybe it won't happen on like a grand scale, but hopefully, or not hopefully, but like maybe the person can gain a little bit of control over their lives. Maybe they can maintain a job or like a family or something, and that becomes their world that they can control. Right? It's just instead of it being on like the grand scale of like, it starts to get like weird and gray when you start to extend the feelers of your world to like your neighborhood, your like the city you live in, the county you live in. Maybe you try to, you know, run for like a representative position or something like that. Maybe like an HOA or something. And you get a little taste of power. Okay, great. Okay, next level. I want to run for like some city council, whatever. Okay, Another little taste of power. Ooh, fantastic. You know, and then and eventually over the course of time, your world becomes larger and larger. And then, oh, I'm gonna run for the county, whatever. I want to run for like maybe the state, whatever. Get a little bit of schooling in there. Um, and then, like I said, it just gets larger and larger. Um, and some people, you know, that doesn't happen where their uh, ability to control stuff gets so like big. Maybe it's just like my their ability to control themselves or their lives or their reality, their world only extends to their house. You know, whenever I leave the house, I don't really got much control outside of like my car or where I go or anything like that. I don't really control anything outside of that.
Type of the hero. We used to cheer for really good characters because they gave something up. Now we're just told to cheer because they represent some kind of demographic. The worst part? Most of the audience feels the difference. They don't always know how to articulate it, but they know something is off. These
Yeah.
new strong characters feel empty. Their victories don't move us. Their pain doesn't shake us. Because deep down, we know strength without selflessness, sacrifice, or love isn't strength at all. It's
Yeah.
narcissism. Now, the problem goes deeper than just poor.
I mean, that's why a lot of popular movies are like, I don't know, kind of timeless, like Lord of the Rings. I mean, it's more or less like the hero's journey of like Frodo and Sam trying to overcome everything just to bring this damn little ring to inside the volcano and destroy it, right? um and I mean, I don't know like why modern day Hollywood is so reluctant to try to show people in pain, peril, agony, suffering, just to at least have like some sort of like relatability to like regular ass people. Like, why is like showing suffering like, or at least on the screen for the sake of like a relatable character going through some shit? Why is that so like frowned upon?
Writing. There's now a dangerous trend that if you don't like certain modern characters or even influencers, it's your fault.
If you don't like what the campaign against the vow reveals bigotry, well, yeah, that this is the people trying to paint go under the delusion and paint a reality that simply is not there. People aren't going to those movies or buying these games because they just don't like them and they can feel that something is off about them. So, I mean, I didn't interact with any of those movies or any of these games in any way. Am I a bigot that fuels the anti-woke? Or I don't fucking know. This is like whatever. Like, am I a bigot because I didn't buy any of the games or go to the movies? No.
You are the issue. You are sexist, you are racist, you are homophobic, or you are even transphobic. And this shuts down any honest conversation.
Oh shit, no. Did Apex let wait, why is there a big old bump here?
That if you don't like certain modern characters,
Disney's Little Mermaid flops in China amid racist backlash over casting. Oh, like the Black Little Mermaid.
or even influencers,
Okay, the rampant body shaming of Abby in Last of Us Part 2 shows gamers still can't accept realistic female lead. Okay,
it's your fault. You
I read that
are
one.
the issue. You are sexist.
Original God of War director David Scott Jaffe, or Jafe, I don't know, says widespread panning of Forsaken driven by a-holes who clearly don't like women, black people, or PlayStation. Yeah, this is like all of these articles seem like just plug in something like a prompt into Chat GPT, and it's like they just read the slop that came out of Chat GPT at that moment. People didn't buy this game. Well, it's because these reasons. It's not my fault. It's their fault.
You are racist, you are homophobic, or
The Witcher 4 and Intergalactic Backlash proves sexism in gaming is still only getting worse. No. Well, first of all, to be quite honest, sexism in gaming has been here since the beginning and has probably maintained a flat line of unchanging anything. Well, if anything, there's been a couple games that are like almost 50-50, like male female. Like look at what do you call it, Valorant. Like the player count of like it's still like a little bit majority men, but it's like one of the best ratios of like male to females that just like play the game or whatever. But like like let's not kid ourselves, video games is a male dominant hobby, period. Okay, so what are we doing? um Back with sex in the gaming only getting worse. It's not getting worse, it's the same. All right, these people are just like, I mean, shit. Like, have you ever been in a Call of Duty like lobby in like 2008, bro? It's literally the same. Okay.
Or you are even transphobic.
Was this Apex Legends developer hits back at transphobic gamers? Well, I didn't even know this. Apex Legend revealed their newest Legend Catalyst earlier this. Oh, this is old. Well, not old. And already the so-called fans are being pretty transphobic about it. Like, I don't care about a character's gender. If like people don't play fucking Apex Legends for like the character's gender or whatever. If you know, that's not the reason they play. They play for the core game loop, the gunplay, the physics, the you know, the good ass battle royale or whatever. They don't play because a character leans like one way or the other. That's stupid. How does that play like any part in the core game loop? Whether a character is like male or female or who they like to have sex with. That's stupid. Maybe it matters in a game like Baldur's Gate 3. Go play that game.
And this shuts down any honest conversation before it even begins.
Yes, because they are already starting off in a false reality that they have crafted themselves in order to like do like a self padding of their own like inner self or whatever. It's like they're coping.
This is a huge part of why things aren't actually getting better. Because now, identity is being used as a shield. Writers don't have to build strong characters. They just have to build important ones. Characters who can't be criticized because of what they represent.
The betterness or the worseness of the entire like cultural conversation of this movie is good or bad, this game is good or bad, is gonna, I would probably say it's getting worse, but not because of worse games or movies coming out. It's because people don't have like as much money, and they have, because of that, they have to be more choosy with what type of content they consume. All right, like maybe back in the day, there's all sorts of types of content coming out, and like inflation wasn't as crazy back then as it is now. You know, the thing with like the whole economy, and less people have more money, more people have less money, or whatever. You know, add your own little 2 cents in there. You know, back then you could afford to go see multiple movies, even if they were questionable. You could afford to see or go buy multiple video games, even if they were like something that you wouldn't normally get or whatever. But since the warping of reality and everybody's plugged into the internet, you know, you don't have to go out and see everything firsthand anymore. You know, you can rely on your favorite influencer's review of the game or whatever you do.
Not who they actually are. It's lazy, and more than that, it's disrespectful, both to the audience and to the very groups these characters are supposed to speak for.
Yeah.
Because real representation means giving those characters the same depth, struggle, and growth as anyone else. Not
Yeah, and to do anything else is a disservice to that group of people. All right, I don't know. It just sucks.
making them untouchable, narcissistic brats that demand to be liked.
Yeah.
You can't just hand a character a specific shielded identity and a crazy ego and call it strength. That's not how storytelling works. That's not how respect works. And that's not how truth works.
I mean, I have no idea how some of these guys like arrive at some of these like characters, like character personalities. Like, I still think some of like the best character like creator sheets are come from the dude that made JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. He has like a gigantic character sheet for like every character, and there's like I think like 50 some odd like bullet points of like character traits that you can like pick and choose from, and little things that go on like the person's body and like why they think this, why they think that. And with that, you can come up with a lot of crazy kooky characters, but like when every character or modern day character comes off as like narcissistic, it's like that's not an interesting character. It's like, oh, they're doing this shtick again. Oh, I've seen this already, and it becomes boring. Like maybe it'll work like once or twice, maybe, but then after a while, it's like you see the same thing. It's like, ah, this is kind of boring. Um, on that note, because I think a lot of this is based on like the 80s slash 90s, and I'm just guessing slash like action movie era of like, you know, the all the dude action heroes of like Arnold, Sylvester, and I don't know, Jason Statham and Jet Li and all those guys, everybody that was in the Expendables, like they see those type of characters, um, and maybe like the people that are writing for these modern day characters kind of views all of those like quote unquote like Expendables guys as like the same thing. So maybe they have just like transposed it onto like the modern day character, and they're like, oh, this character has all the same traits as all those guys. Why aren't these people just as likable as those guys? And they're just sitting there wondering, scratching their head like why it's not working. Um, I don't know why it's not working, dude. I mean, it just doesn't come off as like genuine, it seems. I mean, at least to me.
One of the more recent examples for this is in the trailer for Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. In a short 4.5-minute trailer, Naughty Dog somehow managed to create an insanely unlikable character who instantly comes across as extremely arrogant and narcissistic. And yet, they genuinely believe this character is above any criticism simply because of her race and identity. As soon as anyone calls her out as a poorly written character, the blame is flipped.
So I would have to like go back and like re-examine this whole trailer, and I would probably have to compare it to like a lot of, because this is going for like a realistic movie type of vibe or something like that. I would have to compare this character to a lot of movies back then that had maybe like a similar type of personality. I would have to see why it may have worked then with that character, but not this character. Like, who was this lady? Like, she's like like I haven't seen this trailer in like a while, but like she's supposed to be like a space bounty hunter, something like that. So like, I immediately like you say space bounty hunter, I'm thinking of shows like, well, you know, you could think of like characters like Jango Fett, Boba Fett. You could think of the show Cowboy Bebop. You could think of, what was that? Firefly, that show. And this is just me like thinking like off the top of my head, or like maybe other, maybe not necessarily like a space bounty hunter, but like just regular bounty hunter type of personality. You know, you could think of what's another like bounty hunter movie? I'm like, my memory, the dementia's getting to me. Just recently, I think like a year ago, I watched like Vash the Stampede, or what's that one? The one with Vash the Stampede. What was the name of it? I don't fucking know. But that one, but that's like an anime bounty hunter. No way I'm thinking Dog the Bounty Hunter. That's like a too meme. I don't know, but I'd have to like go back, look to see like what this character is based off of for like a lot of other movies or genres or shows, and then try to compare it to see like where the translation was lost.
Flipped onto the viewer, labeling the viewer as racist or homophobic, but it has nothing to do with the race or identity of the protagonist. She simply comes across as unlikable.
Yeah, it's about the, the communication, the body language, the line delivery, inflection. I mean, what do you hear about communication a lot of the times? Most of what is being said is not done through like the actual like mouth and the sentences. It's more, it's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it and the things that go along with how you're saying it, like inflection, connotation, delivery, body language, all that stuff plays a bigger role than the words themselves.
Now, here's where things also get a little bit complicated. I genuinely believe that characters like this are only unlikable to those who have been exposed to genuine strength in their lives. And I can actually see how this sort of character could be likable to those who have not been exposed to genuine strength in their lives. I
Yeah.
personally believe that fatherless homes.
Oh boy, fatherless homes. Last time I checked, that's a growing percentage. But if that was the case, why didn't any of those movies or games pop off? Oh shit. Probably because none of them got like money to like just willy nilly throw around.
Or abusive experiences from individuals that are supposed to represent strength in our lives can create an exposure of counterfeit strength. Obviously, life is nuanced, and I personally know quite a few people who have been exposed throughout their lives to this counterfeit strength that do have a healthy view of strength now. But when you grow up without a model of earned, quiet, or steady strength, you can easily mistake loudness for confidence, control for leadership, and arrogance for self-assurance. And so a character who steamrolls over others, never listens, never bends, and acts like the world owes them something might actually look strong to someone who's only ever seen power used that way.
Ooh.
Making characters like this completely alienates audiences, not because we're hateful or closed-minded, but because we're
I would say this alienates younger people more so than older people because it's just older people, and I can start to include myself in this, unfortunately. Like older people have just been around the block a little bit. They have seen some shit, regardless of how bad it is. You know, they just got like more life experience than like a younger person. And understandably, I think a lot of these like movies, shows, games that you just showed, aren't most of these targeted towards younger people? People that have don't really have an idea of like what that true strength is. Where are all these shows targeted for like adults, 30, 40, 50-year olds?
being told to cheer for characters that are poorly written but guilt wrapped in a protected identity. And if we don't celebrate these characters, we get labeled and called out. But that's not strength. That's trauma with a label on it. And that's the danger. When culture starts celebrating unhealed wounds as empowerment, when fiction becomes a mirror of brokenness rather than a picture of what wholeness could look like, we stop aiming upwards and we start settling. We start calling dysfunction power, not because it is, but because it's all some people have ever known. You can see this play out in real life. Take someone you believe to have narcissistic...
Oh boy, we are still talking about this what was this H3 like call out video or the content cop thing? We are still seeing the after effects right now.
qualities, whether a public figure or someone in your personal life. They could be popular, charismatic, and quick-witted, sure, but what you're really witnessing more often than not is just ego dressed as strength. They rarely or never admit when they're wrong. They often talk over others and position themselves as the smartest in the room without actually doing the harder work of listening, learning, or sacrificing.
Well, yeah, where do you think the saying fake it till you make it comes into play? Where did that saying come from? I mean, that wouldn't be a saying if it didn't work.
That's not strength. That's a performance of a false perception of strength. And for a lot of young people, especially those without real mentors, that kind of performance can be convincing. Because if you've never or rarely seen genuine strength in your life, the kind...
And I don't know, it's hard to say whether or not most people have seen like true strength in their life. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, I live in my own little bubble. Uh, I mean, my perception of what is true strength could be just as warped as all these people that I am critiquing right now. So,
that leads by example, that serves others, that admits failure, that shows genuine humility, then the counterfeit could look strong. C.S. Lewis once said, "We make men without chests and expect them virtue and enterprise. We laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst." In other words, we strip away the soul of real strength, the virtue, the responsibility, the self-mastery. We laugh and mock the real thing when it is displayed, and then we're surprised when the people we elevate as heroes don't act like heroes at all. When we confuse narcissism for strength, we don't just warp our stories, we warp our expectations of ourselves and each other. People start performing instead of growing. They protect their image instead of building.
That is the truest of truths. People start performing instead of growing. Wow. That is a great line for like modern day entertainment.
Character. They become addicted to being right instead of learning how to be wise. And the worst part, they start to believe that vulnerability is weakness, that empathy is a flaw, that asking for help is a failure. Real strength doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need a platform. It grows in silence through trial. It's something you become.
Well, trial and error. I mean, that's how a lot of shit ends up happening. Like, anytime someone decides to like take on like a thing, like a hobby or a project or something, or like anytime someone tries to get good at something, you never really think that that thing you're doing is like good until it's like way later. So like there's like a picture where it like kind of represented essentially what I'm talking about. It's like, where is it? It like, if this is the water, like let's just say that's water, and this is like an iceberg. Ooh, there's an iceberg. And this iceberg represents like a win. Like, oh boy, I won. All of the stuff that took like a person to like get to this point, like that's a leg. And it's like, woohoo, I win. All of the failures and the errors, like it's just like absolutely massive, but it's like underneath the water and you can't see it. The only part you see is like up top, which is the part anybody really cares about. Nobody cares about all the bullshit that you went through. They just don't. It's like they only want to see people like at their best. I mean, and that's just true.
Not something you declare. So the question becomes, what kind of strength are we trying to build in ourselves? And what kind of strength are we celebrating in others? Because if we don't know the difference, we'll keep clapping for the counterfeits while the real thing quietly slips away.
And it's hard. It's hard to like cheer for one thing when another thing just has your attention. Because like, how do you do that in like the modern landscape of things, like with like modern entertainment or whatever, like in the case of like YouTube, like a form of clapping? Because like, what did he just say?
For the counterfeits while the real thing quietly slips away.
Like, you end up like, ideally, and this is an ideal, so it's like whatever, like clapping would be like, oh hey, this guy put a lot of time and effort into like a YouTube video, so like I'm gonna go like it or whatever. Whereas like someone that doesn't put like a lot of effort in to like a video or something. I mean, I'm essentially like React bro and just talking off the riff, so a lot of people think that like this is like bullshit. So I mean, I get it. Um a form of clapping for something that you shouldn't be can just be something as easy as just like watching a full video like at length. Like doesn't even matter if you hit the up thumb or the down thumb or whatever. Um there are so many like new metrics that try to like congratulate someone that like does not have true strength, and just by you like looking at something or not even interacting, it's like, oh, that guy looked at that for a little bit more than he should have, that means he likes it. It's like, how do you get away from that when it's just like literally everywhere? Like the only way to do it would be to like completely just disconnect from your phone.
So let's come back to the real thing. Real strength is not perfection, it's not dominance, it's not being the loudest person in the room or the most unshakable or unteachable in the spotlight. It's the man who stands alone for what is
Oh yeah, the Tiananmen Square thing.
right, even when it costs him everything. It's the woman who forgives what the world says is unforgivable. It's even the leader who kneels before they command. It's not found in applause, it's found in sacrifice. Look at historical figures such as Nelson Mandela, who grew up under the apartheid, imprisoned for 27 years, and instead of coming out bitter and vengeful, he led a nation towards healing and reconciliation. That's strength. Look at Corrie ten Boom, a woman who lost everything in the Holocaust, including her sister, and yet she chose to forgive the man who was responsible. That is strength. Look at Martin Luther King Jr., who faced death threats, violence, and prison, yet he met hatred with peace and injustice with love. That's strength. And finally, look at Jesus. Whether you believe in him or not, there is no figure in history who better embodies strength through sacrifice. He had power, authority, a following, and yet chose the path of suffering. He didn't destroy his enemies, he forgave them. He didn't demand loyalty, he washed feet. He didn't save himself, he gave himself. And in doing so, redefined strength not as dominance, but as self-giving love. Real strength isn't about appearing invincible. It's about remaining faithful, honest, and loving even when you feel broken, especially when you feel broken. These people didn't become strong by demanding the world revolve around them. They became strong by laying something down, their comfort, their ego, their vengeance, and their lives, for the sake of something or someone greater. So maybe it's time we relearn what strength actually is. It's not the power to dominate. It's the courage to endure, the humility to grow, the grace to forgive, the wisdom to wait, and the character to keep going, especially when no one is watching. Thank you guys for watching this video, and
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff, I mean, a lot of that stuff is nice, but like, unless you like go through some shit like yourself, and I don't even know like what that means, but it's like he said, like unless you go through it yourself, um it's just hard to claim that you have those things, because I mean, like he said, what is hard, well, I don't think he said this, but like what is perceived to be hard for one person may not be perceived to be as hard to another person. So there's like a perception of like or gatekeeping, suffering or something like that. Like someone could say, "Oh, my job sucks," and then another person goes, "Oh, your job doesn't suck. Your job doesn't suck. My job sucks." And then another person goes, "Oh no, both you are wrong. My job is worse." And you know, there's like a belittling or gatekeeping of like suffering that could go wrong or something like that. So, ugh.
Thank you so much to my Patreons for supporting me. I'm back on the ball with YouTube again, and I'm going to be producing a lot more videos a lot quicker going forward. This is just my perspective. It is a angle. It's not the whole picture of why I believe it is a thing, but I genuinely think that there is a bit of a decline in the idea of strength at the moment. If you agree or disagree with me, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Let's keep it respectable again, and thank you guys so much for all the support, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Nice. Oh, was that it? Is this just like a black screen? Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool, man. This was a really good video. I like it. Like, modern day characters, I think people don't realize, like, whenever they like interact with like online stuff, they don't realize how much of a character their favorite thing or person is, and they just go along with it, even if it's like a social commentator person or something like that. It's like even like all the social commentators or political commentators can be like characters, and with that comes the assumption of, oh, are they only saying something to appease one side and not the other side? And I mean, I don't know, but I think this video was like needed, just to, like, a little reminder for myself of, like, as much bullshit as I consume, it's like I still have to, like, remember, like, like, just have a little perspective and, like, just zoom out and just, I don't know. Just, it is a good video, dude. That's all I gotta say. All right, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.